So I want to talk about a subject that I think you guys are going to like, that you're going to find some value in, and it's pre-existing damage. There's several exclusions that are in the policy regarding pre-existing damage that I'm going to go over now, and it's probably happening to you maybe a little bit more now with Hurricane Ian, but this is just good for anybody else in the country. When you walk into a house and you see that there might be pre-existing damage, you're going to have to discuss it with your client. You may not be able to file the claim, or you may be able to file the claim, but the fact of the matter is you need to be aware what pre-existing damage is, what exclusions are related to those things in the insurance policy, and what you have to watch out for, and how you could educate your client on watching out for pre-existing damage so that you and your client does not get denied. Let's get right to it. 3, 2, 1. What's up, advocates? Welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Claims Show. I'm your host, Vince Perri, owner and CEO of Commercial Claims Advocate and Elite Resolutions. Let's get right to the point. Listen up, advocates. Whether you're a public adjuster, contractor, or an attorney, if you have a client that has suffered any kind of catastrophic loss, whether that be by fire or storm or just any catastrophic loss that requires your client to have to move out and incur ALE and loss of use coverage, you need to think about looking at Black Diamond Services. This is an incredible idea for a service that I think is extremely valuable, and I've actually personally used for my clients myself. Basically, what they do is they provide all of the necessary money that is needed to be done for the homeowner to go and move to another place, whether that be a hotel or another home or whatever it is. They basically bill through their insurance policy's loss of use coverage, and basically they provide financial assistance so that the insured never has to incur any out-of-pocket expenses. It's an amazing service. I love the people at Black Diamond Services, especially Millie Varela. If you just contact her and contact Black Diamond Services, I'm telling you, they're going to take care of your clients like you wouldn't believe. I personally have a client who suffered a fire damage and had to use their ALE coverage, and all we did was refer them to Black Diamond. Our clients did not have to come out of pocket a single penny. Black Diamond provided all of the financial money, and they provided the actual location for the homeowner to stay. Amazing service. Contact Black Diamond Services today so you could find out more information for yourself. Pre-existing damage. It's a complicated thing. Well, it's not really complicated. It is what it is. It's pre-existing damage, but it's an issue that you're going to be facing all the time, especially with water damage claims, and especially now with the hurricane claim, or especially with any claim, because you really have to try to determine as a public adjuster and as a client, as if you're an insured, you have to determine whether this damage was pre-existing before the actual loss occurred, before the wind event occurred, the hail event, the water damage, whatever event that occurred. You have to take a look at whether it's pre-existing. I tell all the guys, and I think one of the most important things that I can teach you, whether you're a homeowner or whether you're a public adjuster, is the main thing that you have to prove, or the main thing that you have to show to the insurance company, is that it is a sudden and accidental event. Keyword, sudden. Obviously, accidental, it cannot be intentional. If not, that's about as bad as it gets when it comes to insurance fraud. Sudden and accidental is what I always try to educate my clients. If it is not sudden and accidental, it is not a loss. So for example, if you have an old roof and you feel like filing an insurance claim because you have an old roof and it needs to be replaced, well, guess what? That's not a sudden and accidental event. That just means it's your house, it's your job to take care of it, and it's your job and responsibility to replace that roof, not the insurance companies. However, if a wind event comes through and removes and takes off a bunch of shingles and hail starts falling on it and dents the decking on your roof, then guess what? That causes damage. That's an event, a sudden and accidental event, act of God, and it requires the insurance company to pay for a new roof. That's all they cover for, guys. Theft, vandalism, all these things that happen suddenly, that's what the insurance company covers you. So I love it. To this day, I still get calls from potential clients to say, I have an old roof, or everybody in my neighborhood's replacing their roof. Why can't I? That's not how it goes, okay? There needs to be an event. It needs to be sudden and accidental, which takes me back to pre-existing damages. You have to be aware that mainly a lot of the exclusions that are on the policy, I'm going to go over a couple of them now, actually are related to pre-existing damage, wear and tear, and also existing damage is what they call it here. Fungi and water, mold and stuff like that. A lot of times that's been going on for a while. Long-term wear and tear going on for a while. Repeated seepage going on for a while. That's stuff that is pre-existing, right? Technically pre-existing from at least the date that you walk in there, or at least the date that you notice it. Now let's get a little bit more complicated here. A lot of times you don't know when it happened. You have no idea when this sudden and accidental event occurred. You only know when you noticed it. Now, sometimes you could file a claim for when the loss was discovered. We call it the date of discovery. Remember that, date of discovery. Usually this is in regards to interior water damage. How does this happen? If you have a supply line, or you have any kind of plumbing line or plumbing leak inside of the wall, guess what? You can't see it. You may not even get your bill for a month or 3 months. You get your water bill and all of a sudden it's high, and then you're like, okay, something's going on. You call a plumber, they open up the wall, they see the damage. That's probably been going on for a little while, but you didn't notice it, so it's really not your responsibility to see through walls and file the claim. In that case, you can file your date of loss as the date that you actually discovered it. When it comes to exterior damage, you need to see, you don't go up on your roof all the time. You have to see if you could remember when there was an actual event that occurred. Now, this is a touchy subject, right? If you're the insurance company watching this, I know you're already rolling your eyes and saying, look at this public adjuster going back and picking a date. I don't necessarily agree with going back and picking a date. If you could see that the roof is old, and let's say this damage and wind and shingles are lifting and all this stuff, and it's been happening for a while, tread lightly, public adjusters and roofing contractors, okay? There needs to be a sudden accidental event. So what I do in that case is I'll go to the client and I'll say, hey, what's going on? What happened? When did you first notice this? Well, I just went up to the roof and I noticed that this damage. I said, when do you think that this occurred? When was the last time you were up on the roof? Well, I was just up on the roof actually 6 months ago. Was that damage there? No. Okay, now we got something to work with. What about in the 6 months? Do you remember an event that occurred? Do you remember any kind of wind? Do you remember kind of hailstorm? As a matter of fact, there was a hailstorm 2 months ago, and everybody was sort of talking about it, and it was a thing. You might even find a news article about that. Okay. Now you go back to the weather data and you go ahead and you see if you could find something related to what they're saying. If you're able to find one of those dates around the time that the insured and the client is saying actually occurred, that's going to be your date of loss. Why? Because even though it's the date of discovery, it is an external event, act of God, or whatever it is. You're going to have to find an actual date where something severe happened, okay? Now, as I said before, just going up on a roof, finding lifted shingles, and picking out a date out of a hat, I don't necessarily condone that, so just beware. Insurance companies don't like that. It's a big reason why insurance rates have gone up, so if you're against what I'm telling you, I'm sorry, but that's just my feelings on it. So again, beware when you're going up and you're looking at pre-existing damage. If you walk into a house and you notice water damage inside of the cabinets, and you know that that damage has been going on forever, and you talk to the client, you say, when did you first notice the damage? And the client says, well, I noticed it a few years ago, but I didn't really think anything of it. And then somebody down the street told me that I can file a claim, so I called you and I figure I'll file a claim on it now. You walk out of that one. That's not sudden and accidental. That's pre-existing damage. Pre-existing damage is not covered. And I'm going to read it to you right here. Existing damage. I'm looking at a policy. I think it's a universal policy, meaning damages which occurred prior to policy inception, regardless of whether such damages were apparent at the time of the inception of this policy. This exclusion does not apply to the event of the total of a total loss. Okay, that's something different. But anyway, beware. Ask the client questions. We go over this in the course all the time. We have like the top 10 questions you want to ask a client when you're sitting down talking to them. When do you think the loss occurred? When did you first notice the damage? Okay, they're two different things. Okay, so make sure that you're asking the right questions, because the pre-existing damage and sudden and accidental event is the most important thing when it comes to insurance claim. The beauty about a hurricane, besides it sucks, I know, all the destruction that occurs, but the beauty on our side when a hurricane occurs is we don't have to worry about a date of loss, okay? When there is no hurricane and there's no real huge event, and we're talking about water damage and different things, it's very difficult to pinpoint a date of loss. You have to ask the right questions to the client so you could pinpoint a date of loss so that the insurance company does not think that the damage is pre-existing. You have to ask the client, did you notice that damage before? How long before did you notice it? Did you do anything about that damage? Did you mitigate your damages? Did you make a repair? Did you dry it up? Did you cover it up? Whatever it is, they have to stop the damage. But at least if you show that they mitigated and they stopped some of the damage, that also is a good thing. So I just wanted to talk about pre-existing damage because it's a topic that comes up all the time, especially now with hurricanes. The reason why we always try to tell people, the last thing I want to talk about is something that we call a pre-loss risk assessment. You're going to like this one. I could make a whole video about this actually. A pre-loss risk assessment is a free thing that you could go out and you could provide to a client, where basically you can take photos of the entire property. This is good for commercial property, guys. If you want to get into commercial, offer a pre-loss risk assessment. Here's what it is. God, I can't believe I'm giving you all my secrets. That's okay. Pre-loss risk assessment, you're going to go and you're going to inspect the property. You're going to take a look at all the damages. One of the things that I always tell clients is make sure that you're taking photos before the hurricane occurs. So that week prior that you think that there's a hurricane that's going to come, go up to the roof and take some photos, because you know what's going to happen? The insurance company is going to go out, and if they have any inkling or any inclination that the damage that they're looking at happened before the storm, they're going to deny your claim. So why not have photos beforehand showing and proving that there is no damage, or that damage was not there beforehand? It's going to be so much easier. So big, large loss commercial properties, associations, or homes, you can say, hey, look, you don't have a claim yet, but let me do a pre-loss risk assessment. Let me go up there. Let me take photos of your roof. Let me take photos of all your exterior, and let me take photos of every single room. We'll save it into a little file here so that if in case a loss does occur, they can't come back and say, well, this damage here was there before. It's pre-existing. No, it's not. We have this. And you go back every year and you do it. And on top of that, I would take a copy of their policy and save it in that same folder. And I would take any repair bills that they've done throughout the year and save it in that folder. It's a tremendous service that you could provide for free, so that you can at least get in with the client. And then when a loss does occur, the goal is for them to actually call you and sign up with you when disaster does strike. So yeah, so that's good. The pre-loss risk assessment, it's very important. I always tell clients, I know a lot of other adjusters do it as well, is they have their sort of like the week before a hurricane, you see a lot of social media posts coming out and say, take photos, bring everything inside, find your policy, get any repair bills, like get all this stuff ready, because you don't want the insurance company to come back and say, no, this is not covered anymore. What else do I have here? I think that was it. I wanted to define pre-existing damage. We wanted to talk about the pre-loss risk assessment, and it's a great way to market to commercial properties. And that's it, guys. Just remember, forget pre-existing damage. I want you to remember sudden and accidental. This is what's most important. Every claim has to be sudden and accidental. It can't be wear and tear. It can't be pre-existing. It can't be long-term repeated seepage. Sudden and accidental. That's all I've got, guys. My name is Vince Perri. I am the owner and CEO of Commercial Claims Advocate and Elite Resolutions. We are a public adjusting firm that offers all kinds of stuff. And I want you to subscribe. I always forget to do that. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, because every Wednesday we have Content Wednesday with new educational material just for you, free whenever you want to watch it. And we've got commercialclaimsadvocate.com, where we've got an online course. We've got this book that we sell. We've got courses. We got meetups. We've got events. We got all kinds of stuff. If you are in the public adjusting industry, or a contractor, or an attorney, you're going to want to join this group. We have our own Facebook group as well, where it's very live. We talk all the time and help answer each other's questions. And then we have EliteResolutions.com. Love for you to come on. If you are an insured homeowner, please fill out your information. We'll have somebody contact you if you do have an insurance claim. Or if you just have any questions, you want to talk to me personally, just leave a message. Say, I want to talk to Vince Perri personally, and I will talk to you. It's one of the things that I love doing the most, is talking and educating homeowners and building owners on the insurance claims process. And also, if you're a public adjuster, you want to come work for Elite Resolutions, again, please drop an application, fill out your information. We'll send you an application, and maybe we could consider hiring you into our team. And that's all we've got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a great week, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and have a great weekend as well. I look forward to seeing you next week. See you later.